Hello, everybody. Fuck. Um, I haven't really been feeling well physically. I've been kind of under the weather, especially like this week, but like especially today. Um, I don't know, just like had headaches, felt really tired the whole day. Couldn't really concentrate, couldn't really get stuff done, and I have stuff to get done, like this, like this recording, for example. But also like assignments and shit. It's like, it's a whole thing. And I've been trying to take breaks and just save my energy, and like now I feel like ready to do this. um, I had an attempt at recording this thing earlier this week. I recorded like 15 minutes of it, thought the audio was broken, wasn't broken, it was fine. But then like I just kept being interrupted, and like a couple of days passed, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do it again from the beginning. It's like only 15 minutes, so who cares? Basically, I got the week the PS5 came out, so like, was it 2 weeks ago? Wait, so in Europe, yeah, it was the 19th. Today is the 29th. I still have to record another one of these, by the way, before the month ends, so I'll do the other one tomorrow. But yeah, like that week, that Tuesday, I got my first 4K TV. Finally upgraded from my 43-inch 1080p LG TV that I've had for a couple years. I basically, when I bought that TV, I got it pretty cheap, and I bought it because I wasn't really sure about this whole 4K thing yet. I knew, like, yeah, eventually I would have to upgrade, right? But I thought the time just wasn't right yet. And I think that was smart. I think, looking back, that was actually one of the few smart things that one of the smart things that I've done in my life. I bought it like as a stopgap TV, and now I felt like this is the time. This is like, we're ready now. 4K is like in a really good place. 4K TVs in general, especially this year with the new consoles and with like the introduction of HDMI 2.1. I'd be really annoyed if I like bought a TV last year, and it didn't have HDMI 2.1. But like now all those TVs are coming out. Yeah, I upgraded to a 55-inch Sony X900H in the US is what it's called. Over here it's the XH90. Yeah, XH90. They're the exact same. It's just the name is different. Which is significant. I'll talk about this, what I mean by they're the exact same later. Because that's like not like between different regions, apparently that's not like something you can take for granted. That's not a given. Yeah, got the TV on Tuesday, and then 2 days later the PS5, right? And like all of that was like sort of part of this sort of month-long plan that I had to rebuild my whole fucking room essentially, and also just specifically the gaming setup. Like a couple months ago already, I got a new shelf that nicely fits all my consoles, so that they're all plugged in at once. It's still a little bit work in progress. Specifically the big thing that's missing right now is a component switch. I ordered one, not sure when it's gonna arrive, but yeah, that's gonna clean a lot of things up. Right now, this TV is so big that I can't even comfortably get to the back to like change the cables for the OSSC. The OSSC is the upscaler / digital converter, like analog to digital converter that I use for retro consoles. And like it's like I thought, oh, component switch is like a nice to have, but like I guess like it's kind of a luxury expense. No, it's just such a pain in the ass now to change the cables. I need to get that thing. And yeah, like like the setup, as I was sort of planning it, some things were kind of fluctuating over time. Like, I didn't always plan to get this specific TV, for example. I think the TV was like the biggest thing that changed. Also, yeah, I planned to replace my PS4, my base PS4, with the PS5, sort of at launch, ideally. Well, I wasn't always sure that I wanted the PS5 at launch. But then I just had a pre-order, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just keep it. And for example, it's so the shelf I'm using is the IKEA Kallax, and the bottom right compartment. The plan was that, you know, that's where the PS4 sit for a while, and then I would just replace it with the PS5. But now we know that does not work because the PS5 is just too fucking tall. But I kind of lucked out because it ended up fitting just barely next to the TV, on top of the thing. So now it's like dominating the whole entertainment center. And I uploaded like my honest reaction when I unboxed the PS5. I uploaded like my face to Twitter. I was like honestly struck. Like the more I saw the console, I thought it was ugly. Like in photos and stuff. And when I saw it in person, it was even worse. Like, something about the plastic for the white that they're using, for the white part, is so intensely ugly. It doesn't catch fingerprints much, which is good. Or like, it doesn't have visible fingerprints. It has fingerprints on it completely, right? Logically. You don't really see them though, and that's nice. But just all the materials feel very cheap. And like I mean, I have the physical version, obviously, the disc version. And just this extra lump for the disc drive is so insanely aesthetically unappealing. I can kind of see what they were going for with like the digital version, but like, I mean, obviously they did this design to save on like R&D costs, right? Like Digital Foundry, I think, already discussed this, that the console is just very big and like the parts sort of fit together with like a lot of space in between. Because you don't really need to design expensive parts, right? To fit together perfectly and like so that the air can still circulate and stuff, which is what Microsoft did with the Series X, right? The Series X is pretty compact, because probably they spend more on parts and R&D and stuff. And like the Series X, I haven't seen it in person yet, but honestly, the more I'm looking at it, the more I like it. When I was first realized, I was like, oh, this is a weird design, but like, there's something really just pleasant about it, and like it feels very well considered, and it actually has like subtle, like pretty touches to it, like the top with the ventilation holes has like this indentation where it's like a little concave. And like it has like little green sort of paint. Little green paint. It's like painted green on the inside a little bit. That shit looks fucking cool. It looks stylish in a very subtle kind of way. I still wouldn't say it's like super pretty, but like just definitely the material and stuff, all that, it looks a lot more appealing than the PS5. So that's where the Xbox wins for sure. Even like the center part on the PS5, like I've seen people take off sort of the wings and then paint them black, and looks substantially fucking better. It's just way more subtle that way, you know? The white just emphasizes the weird fucking shape. But even the center part looks really cheap. It's like, it's glossy, which is fine. But like something about it, I just don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the material that feels so cheap to me. But yeah, like it doesn't really, see, that's the thing. Did I already say this? Like, it hasn't grown on me. But like, it hasn't exactly grown on me, but something about it still is kind of cool. Maybe I'm an idiot, maybe my brain is broken, but like, just something about the way this whole setup worked out with the PS5 sort of like, the PS5 is the only device I have that's HDMI 2.1, right? And there's no HDMI 2.1 switches yet. So I have to plug it into its own port on the TV. And that alone is like, whoa. You know, it's like it just earns its space kind of, you know? It's weird. Like psychologically something about it feels good to just have it here next to this giant ass TV. I'll also, yeah, I guess I need to address. My room is just gonna look more and more like a Sony commercial as I upgrade. I want to get like a Sony soundbar as well because it just fits my needs, you know, and my budget. And I also wanted to get the Sony vinyl player. So yeah, Shuhei, if you like wanna sponsor me, if you want to do like a marketing deal, I can do that. I have no shame. That's totally fine. Yeah. I wasn't really sure how to structure this. We're already 10 minutes in. This is probably gonna be a long one. Like, do I want to talk about the TV first, or the PS5, or like, you know, they're kind of intertwined, but also kind of separate issues, so I guess like, see, like this TV, it was like on sale recently here in Germany as well. And I recommended it a bunch of times, and I know at least one person on Twitter that's said to me that they bought one. And I think, Bjorn, if you're listening, I think you bought one as well, right? And see, I do think, so the sort of the weekend that I got the PS5 was really nice. That was honestly the most time I spent with games, just consistently sort of just hunkering down, just doing nothing but play games all day in a long fucking time. And I feel like the experience would have been way less pleasant on my old TV. You know what's also good is I hauled my old TV over to my girlfriend's place, and I used it like there over the last couple of days when I was there. So I have a good point of comparison again. See, the thing that I thought, my first exposure to like 4K TVs was with my parents' Samsung QLED that's already a couple years old, which I think it doesn't even have local dimming. Like it's the menu is like super slow, and like there's a lot of uniformity issues, a lot of blooming and stuff. It's kind of not that great, but like, you know, I thought at least it should be like a decent representation of 4K, right? So one time I hooked up my Xbox One X to that TV, and honestly, I was like not that hyped over the difference, right, between 1080 and 4K. For example, I tried Red Dead Redemption 2, which is the 4K native game, so it's a great test, and it looked great. But then I played DMC4, which is a 1080p game, and that also looked great. So, you know, it's weird. Like, yeah, and we have these like we have these monitors at work as well that are 4K. And see, I looked at them first and was like, huh, this looks cleaner than 1080p. And I think 4K, it's not this thing that's gonna blow you away. It's more just something that your eyes appreciate a lot over time. I think a good good case study is my mom, who came in when I got this TV, right? And I was playing DMC5, and she was like looking at it. I posted on Twitter, it was really funny. She was like, "Oh, this is heavy kino. It's like cinema, right?" Is what she was saying. And her eyes were like, she's usually complains really quickly about like, you know, the lights and like the sharpness, and like it hurts her eyes, right? Here was like she immediately thought, oh, it's like really pleasant. Like, what the fuck? And that's my overwhelming impression too. Monster Hunter, I always thought was a great example because got it on base PS4 when it came out. Was really straining on the eyes. Even though it's a great looking game, right? I was like, there's just so much high frequency noisy detail. Then got it on the Xbox One X later. Thought, oh, that's a big upgrade, right? It looks a lot cleaner. And now I'm playing on this TV, and it's like, this is how this game was always meant to look, you know? So, yeah, and like, as I was saying earlier, I tried my old TV again, over the last couple days. The weekend is now. I was gonna say the weekend, but no, I was there like the middle of the week. And like, even though it's so much smaller, right, at 43 inches, I can still see the 1080p pixel grid very clearly. Whereas on this TV, even though it's a lot bigger, I don't see the pixel grid at all. Like, there's no visible grid. There's like no, like, you don't really notice that shit until you have the point of comparison. You don't see any breakup on this TV. It's just completely clean. That doesn't mean that everything looks just as sharp. Obviously, lower resolution sources, you will tell that they're lower resolution. But like, I still think, honestly, in a way, they still kind of look better. Because, just, like, obviously the TV upscales it, and that can introduce artifacting and stuff. But, like, just the fact that you don't have the grid, the, like, visible grid, it makes the image way less noisy. Even for 1080p stuff. And I think that was my sort of confusion before, right? When I tried it with my parents' TV. I thought, oh, 1080p also looks great, but like, it's not really about it's not even about the exact resolution that the content runs in. It's more just having a TV with this many pixels just resolves all the detail much more clearly. Now, that being said, I think the actual sort of image quality, right, for lower res sources, it does take a little bit of a hit, right? I don't think there's any, like, someone correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there's like big fucking designer monitors that are like really crazy and like have like super detailed options. But like most commercial TVs, they don't let you just nearest neighbor scale the content, right? Basically 720p, for example, fits 9 times within 4K, and 1080p fits 4 times, right? And you could just multiply the pixels and then it would look really sharp, but also very pixelated, right? Obviously the average person wouldn't really like that, and also obviously it's not really how the content is meant to be represented anyway, right? So it does make sense that they upscale in some way, like that they apply some kind of filtering to it. But I think that, yeah, it's turned on right now. Where's the remote? Oh god, wait, I'm gonna get the remote. Oh, you can probably hear it. Yeah, the menu is very clearly, a lot of the UI elements on the home screen as well are very clearly not 4K, right? And I feel like they would probably look sort of less, I don't even know what the word is, like, I just want to say grody. You know, there's just something kind of like grimy, dirty looking about it, you know? And that look obviously is reduced on a 1080p TV, for example. Or 7, I mean, you're not gonna buy a 720p TV, but you get what I'm saying. Still, overall, even just the clarity, I do prefer it in the end. And I think, oh yeah, my other major experience with like a 4K TV was the LG OLED in my girlfriend's flat, because one of her roommates has one, and I messed around with it. Now, it wasn't really representative of 4K, because he doesn't actually, like, the only console he owns is a PS3. so I just played some games on that, and like, I was honestly kind of shocked how poor like 720p looked on it. I played some GTA 5 on it, and like it looked really bad. Now I don't have the exact same games here, right? So I can't really test it the same way. But I did feel like 720p did not look as bad on this TV as it did on the LG OLED. So maybe the upscaling is a little better on the Sony. I don't know. That kind of leads me to my next point, right? Like 4K is great, but like that's not like the resolution is not actually the reason I switched. I think it's more generally that 4K TVs, like there's more of an awareness of like the demands of gamers, right? With these TV manufacturers. And over the years, TVs just have gotten so good in like all the other respects. And I think part of that is like the LG OLED meme, right? Like, oh, when you think 4K, you think OLED. And that's valid. OLED is cool. Like I said, I did see it in person. Like when you see just the true blacks with like no breakups at all, and like just this really good contrast, it does blow your mind a little bit. But there's a bit of a misconception, I think. For example, people always say, "Oh, LG OLED, like input lag on OLED is so low." Well, that's not really a thing exclusive to OLED. You can actually have LCDs with lower input lag. The Samsung, like I think LG is like 13 milliseconds. And the Samsung TVs are sort of around 11, 10, so even lower. And then the Sony one is like 15. I think input lag is like, obviously you should research it, right? There might be a TV where it's really bad and you should avoid those. I think I wouldn't go, like 15 milliseconds is one frame, right? One frame is sort of where I start to notice it, right? Maybe 1.5 frames. You're not really gonna get anything lower than 10, right? In the 4K TV space. If you want something even lower, you just have to play on a CRT or like on a gaming monitor, right? Like this one that I have right now is like TN 1 millisecond monitor. But like I mean, personally, I just can't vibe on a monitor. I do want a big TV. I really just prefer that. And like I think 10 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds, 15, that's super acceptable. I think that's like the difference between 10 and 15, it sounds maybe significant, but really, like, I don't want to assert that some, like, there's just a crazy fucking super genius with perfect eyesight and, like, perfect reflexes who can actually tell that difference. But I think 99% of people, that difference is just so negligible. It's not something you're actually gonna feel in practice. If it's higher than 15, then I think you should start like considering other TVs. But I think generally input lag should not be the, like your main concern, right? Because it's so similar between all the different brands and models. But still, like, look at the numbers, right? I think really the big point I want to hammer home is like you just need to find the TV that's right for you. You need to look at the data, be able to understand the data, and then understand, okay, what is important to me? You know, what am I actually looking for? Because you don't need an OLED, right? OLED is not like the be-all end-all. And obviously OLED has its own drawbacks. I mean, we all know about the burn-in and stuff, and like that's the thing, I can't tell you to stay away from OLED. I think OLED is great, right? I think there's a lot of reasons to buy one. But like just the burn-in risk with the like, again, like I said, I don't have first-hand experience with it. I just don't want to take the risk. I think, yeah, like I think it's, you need to just stress, you need to understand that the burn-in risk is something you have to think about, you know? It's not like, even though it is relatively unlikely to be a huge problem, right? it's still something you kind of have to think about, right? It's not, you can't just leave the thing on the whole day, you know, like I can with this TV. Like this TV is a VA panel. VA panel is just, it's basically like perfectly protected against this kind of stuff. Even the IPS panels, they can have image retention and burn-in and stuff. Now like VA panels, for example, the drawback with those is that the viewing angles are kind of bad. That's not relevant to me at all because I'm just looking at it from straight on anyway. But if you're like in a living room setting and like you want to have the whole family around the TV, maybe VA panel, not a great choice. But yeah, so just the burn-in thing with OLED, and then the price. Obviously, there's like an offer today for the LG C10, the one that came out this year. So the LG C10 is like we have the Sony TV, and then this TV, and then Samsung like Q80T and Q90T. Those are sort of the three big ones maybe you should look at. I'll have more to say on the Samsung though. And like, yeah, so LG C10 or CX has a big sale today, and it's 1,400 euro. I paid 750 for this one. It's probably worth it, right? You're getting your money's worth with, you know, the contrast and the perfect blacks and stuff. But it's a lot of money, you know, and I guess I'll go into more detail with this specific TV, right? The one that I have now. Why I personally recommend it and why it works for me. I guess another thing maybe worth considering is that mini LED is coming, or micro LED, I don't fucking know. Basically, TV is made up of smaller individual panels that can be individually lit. To where you basically get the same effect as OLED, where it's like perfect blacks. The reason that I don't recommend waiting for that is like because I think you just need a 4K TV now. I think it's just, if you like, you know, if you want to get into these new consoles, you're just missing so much shit. Without a 4K TV. That's why I don't recommend waiting, but also the bigger reason is just it's a new technology and it's unproven and it's like not even out yet. When it's like in the long run, it's probably gonna be really good. And like it's gonna be cheaper than OLED, more reliable, blah blah blah. While also having the same effect. But right now there's no TV is like announced, right? So I think waiting for this thing that doesn't even exist yet, and like for this thing that's unproven, not wise probably. I would wait a little bit, like at least like 5 or 6 years, you know. And that's why I think it's just a good bet to just buy it. You know, one of the current TVs now that have had time to establish themselves. So, yeah, TVs are good now. Like I said, low input lag, right? I don't have numbers for my previous TV. It never felt that bad to me, but I can definitely feel the difference here. I was playing Sonic Generations on the Xbox One X, and I was just nailing all of the jumps. That game's basically a rhythm game, right? I was just nailing all of the jumps perfectly, much more easily the way than I did on the old LG 1080p TV. And that's like, as someone who's pretty sensitive to lag and who thought that older TV was not even that bad, I think the difference is pretty significant. That's one reason to switch. 4K is a reason to switch. HDR, I'm gonna talk about that. But like the big one for me, the big number one fucking selling point, the reason why the moments of clarity and realization that I had where I realized, fuck, I need a 4K TV, is the black levels and the contrast. Because holy shit, you don't realize, no, I did realize that the black levels on my old TV were really bad and really washed out. Specifically when I played I told the story 100 times now, but like played the demo for Resident Evil 3, the remake, and it just looked so gray and so washed out, and like I could just not get a decent picture out of it at all, even with like tweaking the brightness settings and all that. And that's when I realized, fuck, I needed a TV. Yeah, and like now that I have the point of comparison, it's just insane. Like just how much more vibrant and like just clear, and like you can just actually appreciate the art direction now, you know, in a lot of games. Now OLED, the way it achieves its contrast is that every single pixel is its own light source, right? And that's why it can just selectively turn the lights on and off, or change the brightness of every light depending on what the scene currently needs, right? And that's why it looks so good. Now, obviously, you have to consider OLED, organic LED. It's an organic material. It doesn't get as bright as like proper lights, you know, and also, it just, you know, it wears down over time in a way that LED lights just won't, and that's kind of concerning, right? That's why personally I'm just so hesitant about OLED, you know. I don't want to sound like a fucking evangelist for one fucking soulless brand over the other. It's just like, don't rush out and buy one thing and not be aware of like the drawbacks. Yeah, the way LCDs have to achieve their also, I should say, yeah, QLED is just LCD, right? It's just a fucking LCD thing. They just name it QLED to like sound competitive with LG, but it's really not. It's not the same thing. And like, yeah, the Sony and the like Sony TVs and Samsung TVs, they use the same tech. It's not any different. The way LCD TVs achieve better blacks now is via this thing called local dimming. So you have multiple lamps behind the TV, right? So that's the thing, right? You have lamps behind the TV, and when you have black pixels, the lamps are still going to shine through, right? And that's what's going to make them look washed out. And that's bad, right? So what they can do now is like selectively turn the lights off to darken the necessary parts of the image. And in my experience, like the thing I heard about this TV is that like among sort of LCD TVs, it's one of the best, right? In that respect. And holy shit, it actually is very impressive. Now, the thing you're gonna notice if you have the local dimming turned fully on and stuff, like the blacks are super deep, super inky, really great. But when you're like in a loading screen or something, or in a menu where it's completely black, and then there's maybe one element on the screen, like in every fucking game, like in the bottom right, you have a little, blurb of text that says loading. That corner is gonna be lit up, and then the rest of the screen is gonna be black, and then like you see the lighting, and it's like, it looks like just like this kind of weird distracting circle. I knew it would be like this, but I think you should know as well, right? You should know that that's what that's gonna look like, right? And that can be a little bit distracting, but like, it's fucking loading screens and menus, so who cares? When you're actually doing shit on the TV, it's kind of incredible how well it works. The two tests that stuck out to me were I watched some Spider-Verse on Netflix, which is a 21:9 movie. So when you watch it on this TV, it's gonna have black bars on the top and bottom, and the subtitles, they're sort of wedged between the bottom black bar and like a little bit of the actual image, right? And honest to God, I could not see any kind of sort of white light edge around the subtitles. Like the the bottom black bar, it did not light up in any kind of unnatural way. It just looked completely fine. It looked completely clear. It stayed completely black the whole time. Yeah, it seems like the algorithm they're using for it is very intelligent. Like, when stuff turns on, or like when a lot of stuff is on the screen, it is very gradual and very smooth, sort of the way the local dimming works. Yeah, and like the other test that started out to me was Res Infinite. It's a re-release of Res with one extra level called Area X. And in Area X, it's basically just a big fucking black starfield, right? And it looks perfectly black. The one thing that you will notice is that you have the cursor in the middle that you like aim with, and when you move it, when you drag it across the screen, there's like a little bit of a trail of lights that are following it, but it doesn't look super distracting. It is really, it's like, I don't even get how it works that like the screen is just completely perfectly black. Again, like I said, because with the cursor, the trail of light following it, that shows you that the rest of the screen actually is black, right? Because I do notice the trail. And the stars, they still are perfectly clear. It's so weird. Like, it's not an OLED, right? But it's way closer than it should be, like at the price that it's being sold at. And that's pretty cool. Yeah, just the general, like, those were, I think, pretty heavy stress tests, and then they were very satisfying. So you can imagine in most fucking games, it's like perfect, right? In like a game like DMC or RE3. Resident Evil 2 is weird because like the HDR in that game is very bad. But like, I guess that's a good lead in to talk about HDR because the contrast on this TV is so good. It also makes the HDR really good. Now, I don't really have a point of comparison at all for HDR. This is my first time seeing HDR. And the implementation in a lot of games can be very spotty. I think Resident Evil 2 was like pretty controversial when it came out for how bad the HDR was implemented. Where if you have it on, and you can't turn it off in-game, you have to turn it off like on the console, which is very annoying. It makes the whole game just look very gray and washed out, and nobody really understood what was going on. I think the theory is that like they sort of tweaked it to like compensate for lower quality TVs where the HDR implementation is not very good. But yeah, obviously when you play on a good TV, it just looks bad. So in that case, I would just turn it off. But like, in a lot of games, it just adds a nice bit of depth and contrast to the scene. Basically, what HDR does, it just emphasizes the differences between light and dark, right? So the whitest parts of the screen are even whiter, and then the blackest parts are even blacker, and that's ideally without sort of crushing either. So what I mean by crushing is that you have sort of in the white space, for example, you have like a lot of finer details, and if you set the setting too high, everything will sort of just bleed together. You don't want that. The game that was like in most games, it just adds a nice sense of depth, right? It's not really like mind-blowing. Doom Eternal was like a good one where just the contrast felt like a noticeable step up from my old TV. RE3 is like another. I didn't play it that much because I haven't properly started yet. I just was messing around with it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The game where it really fucking blew me away, and like it's the one that everybody always talks about with HDR, is Final Fantasy 15. Like, holy shit. When you're out in the desert, like the whole screen is like blindingly bright, but without sort of crushing the details at all. Like, it's very saturated, very contrasty, and then the shadowy areas are so deep. It is mind fucking blowing the way it looks. Another really good one was Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter World. If you set it up properly, it looks really fucking cool. Just you look out in the sun and like again, it's actually blinding and like, just like everything, the whole game just gets this completely different hue and like tinge to it, where everything feels sort of more affected by the light. It's so fucking cool. Unfortunately with 15, I was so curious what do the later areas look like, right? But I originally played it on the Xbox. So that's where my save is. I guess I could have just tried it with the Xbox version, but like obviously I'm playing on the Xbox One X and like the it's not gonna look as, or I don't actually know. See, when I actually had it first turn on the X, but like something about the settings was like weird. I hadn't completely ironed out my settings yet. So yeah, when I had that sort of wow moment with 15, it was on the PS4. Like I got the game for free on the weird Plus collection, right? It was, oh god, I have no water. And I played like the starting area, and it was very cool. I guess I'll have to get back to that. And like obviously now when you play on the PS5, it's 60 FPS. That's so nice. So yeah, what are some drawbacks with this TV? And like I mean that will lead me to like other topics as well. There's three things that are worth that I have identified that are worth talking about. There's one actual like issue, and I'm not sure if it's gonna be improved. There's one really nichey kind of me thing that's weird with this TV right now that is fixable though. That I'm gonna talk about. It's a very specific use case. You probably know where this is going if you follow me. And then the third one is just a big question mark. Number 3 is like basically that this TV, it had an update recently to enable HDMI 2.1 support, HDMI 2.1 features. But one of those features, the variable refresh rate support, is not here yet. It's supposedly coming early next year, but we just don't know exactly when. We don't know how it's going to be implemented, like how good it's going to be implemented. There's like a big controversy right now with the LG C10 or CX or whatever, right? Where I'm not exactly sure. I didn't fully research it, but like basically, if you have VRR turn on, sorry, there's like something wrong with the gamma, and actually let me research it really quick. See, it's cool that on Reset Era there is a thread titled "There is no perfect TV," and I think that's what I want to hammer home, right? Did I say this already? Like I said, like yeah, you need to understand the data and stuff. You need to just find the TV for you that's right, because every fucking TV right now has some kind of problem, right? Some kind of drawback, and like even the TV that's this expensive has like even just beyond the OLED, right? If you're okay with the drawbacks of OLED inherently, there's still stuff on top of that that can go wrong. So when you have VRR enabled, pixels, darker pixels will flicker, and blacks are more gray because of like gamma stuff. Yeah, that's the problem. Doesn't sound well. I haven't seen the flickering, right? The flickering sounds really annoying, probably. But that's the thing, like I can't say the Sony is a better choice based on that because it doesn't have VRR yet, so we don't know if it's gonna be good or bad, right? And that's why this shit is just always, you know, it's just a big question mark, right? For those that don't know, by the way, I assume most people do, but like, see, I know my friend Beyond is probably listening to this, and he's not like a tech god, so I feel the obligation to explain. Also, I'm sorry, I just gotta say, Beyond, I still, like, every day I think about this tweet that you made where you compared the Series X with the One X, where the One X was like way more saturated and way darker. Okay, so I'm listening back to this currently. I'm about to upload this shit. Obviously, I meant the Series X. The Series X is the saturated, darker one, and the One X is washed out. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you. And you were like, huh, the One X was like so washed out, and this one's way better. Impressive. And I just immediately knew, no, dude, you just had the One X on the wrong setting for years. I think about it every day. Yeah. So VRR, what it does is like when you have a game that runs at like, let's say 38 frames per second, the reason that it feels choppy is because it doesn't match up with your TV's refresh rate, right? Refresh rate is how often does the TV change its image, which usually is like 60 hertz, right? Or, you know, in the case, like this TV can do 120 hertz as well. With VRR, the TV can essentially just detect the frame rate that the game is running at and adjust its refresh to it dynamically, so that even when it's not consistent, it does look smooth. And like in a game like DMC5, for example, where it has a 120 FPS mode, but it doesn't run very consistently, that shit is really useful. And on this TV, it's not here yet. On the LG, it's weird, and on the Samsung, I think it works fine. Generally, I guess I'm just gonna say, right, my impression with Samsung is that the picture is pretty ugly. Like, those TVs have this exact issue where I think specifically if you're playing game mode, you're like, you don't have a lot of control over the settings. A lot of the processing is just handled by the TV for you. What was the thing? The local dimming is not as effective, right? So it looks very bloomy and very bright and like washed out and not very good. The pro of that is that a lot of the gaming specific features do work, I think, from what I hear. So like, obviously the input lag is the lowest, but again, I think the difference is like not significant enough to actually be you know, that much of a point in its favor. And then the VR just works, right? So that's cool. But still, oh yeah, with the Samsung, right? I recently learned that the Samsung TVs that you get in Europe are actually completely different TVs from the US models. Even though the names are the same, they're actually different TVs. Same thing with TCL. TCL, from what I understand, is a really good brand to buy in America, because they're pretty affordable as well, for what you get. But in Europe, it's just completely different TVs, and they're not very good from what I understand. So I think with the Samsung, if you buy the more expensive ones, you do get something pretty comparable. But then like, you're looking at way more money than what you get with the Sony, and then I think I just wouldn't recommend it. Honestly, I think if you're in Europe, I would stick with like either Sony or LG, because you're way more sure of what you're gonna get that way. And like, also, I think you just get something that's more sort of representative of the price. Like the Samsung TVs, I don't see really the advantage over the Sony, considering they're definitely more expensive. again, like as far as that, there's cheaper Samsungs, and maybe those are better than the cheaper Sonys. I don't know, but yeah. The second issue, the second major issue with, or like the big major issue that actually was a controversy with this TV, with the Sony X900H or XH90, is that yeah, the HDMI 2.1 features were enabled in an update. You know, not we don't have VRR yet, but like 4K at 120 hertz is here, and it does work. But the picture is somewhat compromised. It's a little bit blurrier than it actually should be. It's a little bit more compressed. I don't know exactly how to put it, but it is definitely 120 hertz. But the 4K is a little bit downscaled or like something, right? And it was like a big fucking deal. A lot of people made fucking posts about it, and like Sony responded, said, yeah, we're gonna fix it, we're gonna look at it, and they actually did issue an update. I'm gonna link some of the sort of evidence that is out there, just, you know, in the interest of full transparency. It does look better now, but it's still not completely like pristine 4K, right? It's not the exact same. There's definitely a difference between the 60 hertz and the 120 hertz mode, right? I think, see, personally, the only game I can test it with is the MC5 special edition, right? Because you need to also consider, right, the TV, it can do, before it even had the HDMI 2.1 update, it could already do 120 hertz at 1080p, and that was fine, right? And like, it is still fine. Like, if you just want to do 1080p 120 hertz, it looks completely fine. Weirdly, this TV, it doesn't do 1440p 120, so that's kind of annoying. But yeah, so in DMC5, one thing that's interesting is like you change the frame rate to 120 FPS in the game, and then the TV goes black for a little bit, changes modes, right? And then when you go back to the home menu, it's still 120 hertz. And that's where you can see it the best, where a lot of the finer text looks a little bit grody, right? It looks a little bit compressed. It looks a little bit just blurry. I don't exactly know how to put it. And I'd notice. So we had the first update that brought the 120 support in the first place, and then we had the update that improved it. And this improvement update, I definitely noticed a difference. It definitely looks a lot better now. But it's still not 4K, clear. Like, not the same as like the proper 4K, clearly. When you're actually in the game, even like a lot of the menu text, it looks very clean. Like in the MC5, when you sort of look at the fonts and like you look sort of within the fonts, there is no like weird color artifacting going on. It still looks very clean. In the actual game, the difference is super subtle, honestly. Like right now, currently I still wouldn't play at 120 hertz because like, see, I get the impression that the timings for like moves and stuff is really weird. DMC4 had a similar thing where it's actually better played at 60 hertz. Because like the timings for like JCs and like Exceed and all this shit is different. And like harder. Like when I say different, it's actually harder. And I don't know if DMC5 is the same way, but like it was weird. It like I didn't feel an improvement in my gameplay. It definitely looked smoother, but yeah. So that's why I wouldn't use it just based on that, right? And based on the fact like it doesn't hit its frame rate target at all. So the 60 hertz mode ends up feeling more consistent. So I'm not the best person to test this right now. Like, you have to also consider, like, on PC, you need one of those fancy fucking graphics cards if you want to do 4K 120 hertz. Like, even if your graphics card can technically, like, in terms of performance, it can handle it. It can't actually output 4K 120 hertz to like via HDMI without the RTX 3080 or 3090 or whatever, right? Like you need one of those. Like you need one of those HDMI 2.1 GPUs to even use this. And I think PC text is the thing where you will notice it, right? That's the thing where this like extra blur is going to be very annoying. But like honestly, see on the PS5 home screen, like with games, you get like this extra blur with text sort of below that's a little bit bigger. It's still white, kind of clean text, and it looks pretty clean. I do think it's worth being upset about. I do think, like, that's the thing. It's not something that people expected when they bought this TV. I knew about this issue when I bought it, so like I did really feel cheated. I was just like, I want to see it and like decide how bad it is. Personally, I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, your next better option is just getting like the LG C10, which is like more than twice the price. So I don't fucking know. Yeah, and like I think it's just like for me it's like pretty acceptable, like knowing that most games are not gonna be 120 anyway. Like I said, I don't have. I think like everyone listening to this does not have one of those new graphics cards, right? I don't want to downplay the issue, but in my experience, fuck man, it was really minor. Yeah. I almost like want to turn it on right now to just like see if I'm like crazy, but like again I'll post the images and stuff, but it's definitely there, right? It's definitely a little bit blurrier, but like from a normal viewing distance, I think personally it's fine. And like yeah, the situation is a little bit unclear, right? Like this patch came out earlier than expected. They initially said like December, but like it's already out, this improvement patch. Maybe there's gonna be another one. I don't fucking know. I guess we'll see. But like I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't count on it getting better. Generally, my impression with this TV is the interface is very smooth. The interface itself runs at 120 Hz as well, which is very nice. That's the thing. I turn it on, and I just immediately notice the smoothness. It was fucking crazy. It uses Android TV as well. This is my first time using this interface, and I think it's really fucking cool, actually. It's like robust enough that I'm actually like this time I'm actually plugging the TV in with Ethernet, and I'm just gonna use the apps on the TV, like for Netflix and stuff. I'm not gonna like turn on my PS5 every time I want to do any of that shit. Obviously, I still need the PS5 for like Blu-rays, or like I'd probably actually prefer watching Blu-rays on the One X because it's quieter. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. Yeah. One interesting side effect, like one thing that kind of surprised me is there's a lot of fucking apps on this thing, just from the Google Play Store, and there's actually like fucking games on it that you can play, which is kind of interesting. Now there weren't any games that I actually wanted to play on this. Like, there's no fucking like. You can play Garo on this, right? There's a lot of SNK games, weirdly, on this TV. But like, why the fuck would I play them here when I can just play them on the Switch or the PS5, right? Like, that makes no sense. But I'm just thinking maybe for like Android exclusive games, right? Like the Sonic ports, they're not available here, but like maybe you can sideload them or something. That'd be really cool. Yeah, like I said, the interface is very intuitive, very smooth. I definitely wish I had like I think this magic remote that you get with the LG TVs is really cool. Basically, you can just point the TV like kind of like the Wii remote and like move a cursor around and select things. That's really intuitive. But I think just the general navigation on LG and Samsung, I always felt was kind of weird. Like the fact that you have sort of this like customizable smart overlay, but then also you have a separate screen for like sources and stuff. I feel like in the Sony TV, it's like a lot of stuff is just more streamlined. I think a lot of the options are a little bit more buried than they should be on this TV still. But you get used to it. Yeah, so... Oh yeah, other thing. There's a microphone inside the remote. And I think... I don't know, I like was searching for something. I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna try the microphone. And just the fact that it instantly worked and the speed of it blew my mind so immediately that I was like, okay, I'm never going back to the on-screen keyboard. This thing sucks. And I appreciate that that made me appreciate that the PS5 pad also has a microphone built in, because now you can just search for shit on the PlayStation Store just by saying it. It's so nice. Fuck man, I talked about this TV for an hour. So yeah, TV. Oh, forgot the third issue. The third issue is with the OSSC. The OSSC is a line multiplier. Basically makes your old games look really fucking good, right? Your older consoles. And like every weird mode, like image fucking quality mode, like worked. Everything I threw at it was fine. Now I don't have a Super Nintendo to test it with. But from what I understand, if you have the Super Nintendo is like the most challenging one to like get working with the OSSC, because the quirk of the OSSC is that it actually outputs exactly what you put in, right? It doesn't do anything to the signal, so that's why a lot of TVs just can't handle it. And the Super Nintendo is the one that's always the most problematic for a lot of people. There's a mod you can do for the Super Nintendo, the de-jitter mod. And from what I understand, with that, it works fine. It works perfectly fine. For me, that's not that interesting because I just want to get the Mr. FPGA console to play all those older games on it. And that system also spits out the exact same refresh as the original hardware. And it seems like the Sony will probably handle that well as well, so that's cool. There's like one small issue with the Saturn like that I had where basically I'm going into a lot of detail now, but like there's a generic option that you can use for video output that actually looks very good for most games, or like for most consoles. It's just like pretty optimized, well, not optimized, but like it's settings that will just work for everything and will look good, right? And that mode just works perfectly fine, like for everything. I'm gonna talk about my specific problem later, but like there's also optimized settings where you basically dial in the exact resolution and like the exact fucking sample rate and all this shit of whatever game you're playing. And then if you have a console like the Saturn where games can run in multiple resolutions, it gets really difficult. And what I noticed is that when I use the, like for example, the 320 wide optimized setting, I'm talking alien language right now, don't worry about it. If you use that specific super optimal Saturn setting, looks great, but then when it switches to 480i, for example, it gets really weird. Like you still see an image, but like it's really dark and like flickers a lot. I had that with Resident Evil. But like in game, it doesn't actually switch between resolutions at all, so it's fine. Oh yeah, wait, yeah, no. If you have like, that's the thing. If you were to play a game like Silent Hill, it would look really fucking weird, yeah, because the menus are 480i, and then they, like, if you optimize the video settings and then switch between modes, it would get weird. But I feel like such an idiot, like, go into so much detail with this shit that nobody will understand. The switching between modes is like a huge problem anyway, and this TV doesn't really exacerbate it that much, so like don't fucking worry about it. The actual big problem that I had, that's kind of a pain in the ass right now, but also not that much because I know what to do. I know how to fix it. Is that when you play, the thing that I noticed is that with 480 line sources, so with like the PS2 or the Wii or probably the original Xbox as well, I haven't tested it, but like I'm assuming it's the same. With those consoles, if you scale the image to 960p, which is the highest it can be, right? If you do that, the audio drops out very frequently. Like every 20 or 30 seconds, you get like a short audio dropout, and then it comes back. And this seems to be a common issue. Like I've seen people talk about this. I mean, I didn't see people talk about this before I bought this TV because like, it's such a specific thing. You're not gonna fucking learn about it unless you search for it specifically. But yeah, apparently, like with Sony TVs, this is just this is just something that slipped through the cracks. Obviously, the OSSC is just such a weird niche device. That's like this is not a priority for Sony. They're not gonna fix it. It's kind of annoying. But like obviously, the solution is to just not put the sound into the TV, right? If you just get a soundbar or something, which you should anyway, right? You should just get something else for the sound. You plug the sound into you plug the red and white cables into the soundbar, possibly with like an adapter, right? You need probably like a stereo to optical adapter. You do that, and then it's gonna be fine, right? The video is just gonna be on the TV, and then the sound is coming from the soundbar. Like, there's no reason why that wouldn't work, in my estimation. And I was gonna buy the soundbar anyway, so like, for me it works. That's the thing, if you don't want to buy extra audio equipment, I guess you need to look at a different TV if you're interested in the OSSC. But then also you're gonna be spending more money anyway, so like, it makes no sense. Also, yeah, the 480p mode is fine. If you just play games at 480p, that's fine. But obviously, specifically with like, with the PS2, it is an upgrade to play at 480p. Yeah, I specifically wanted it obviously for like the GameCube games and Wii games and shit. I want to play those at 960p. Yeah, and like right now, that's very annoying that that's not possible. But yeah, that's the thing, if you're happy with 480p, it works perfectly. I have not noticed any issues. See, one thing I said earlier, the TV, it doesn't do integer scaling. One interesting thing that it does is you can actually do like a 1-to-1 pixel map. So it just shows, it literally only fills in the exact pixels of what you're outputting and then leaves everything else black. So like a 480p image will look just fucking tiny on it. Even 1200p. Which sounds huge, but it's actually really small on this one. So 1200p is like when you scale the Saturn, for example, times 5. And that's like the best quality you can get out of it. I posted like one picture of that on Twitter when I first got the TV. Oh yeah, another thing I just remembered. I posted this comparison from My Life in Gaming with Symphony of the Night between 1080p on the PS4 and then 4K on the PS4 Pro. And even like I took a shitty fucking iPhone photo of that, and even on that photo you can see the difference. You can see how much clearer and cleaner the pixels are in 4K. So the thing is like for retro games, this is super worth it, like upgrading to 4K. It's really cool. And like honestly, I didn't buy that Symphony of the Night port when it came out. But like now, because of the 4K TV, I'm actually considering it. You know, I'm considering putting up with all the weird issues, just because it looks that sharp. That's how you know that 4K is actually the real fucking deal. Okay. I think I'm done with the TV for the most part. See, I could split this into 2 videos, but like I'm just that nice, you know. I just want to give y'all that content, you know. Yeah. PS5. Like I said, I feel like this whole experience wouldn't have been nearly as cool without the TV, and I think like these consoles, they're gonna need some time to settle in. Like obviously because of COVID, a lot of things are gonna be delayed, a lot of things are just not gonna go the way they expected. A lot of things feel just rushed right now. I haven't played Demon Souls either, right? So Demon Souls feels like the most sort of next-gen-y kind of thing. Just, you know, in terms of the graphical fidelity. The fidelity of that game feels like a clear step up from last gen. But I haven't played it yet. I'm probably gonna play it after all. Yeah, it's a whole roller coaster of emotions. Oh yeah, by the way, with this TV, I still haven't got it, but like, I'm getting a 25 euro voucher for PSN. So that's cool, right? Gonna use that to buy Demon Souls probably. So yeah, the only like 2 next gen games, the only next gen exclusive game that I've played is DMC5 Special Edition, right? Which is a game that I've already played. And then I've also played Marvel's I can't believe I said Marvel's Spider-Man, or I was going to say it. Spider-Man Miles Morales, right? Finished that. My 1-word review for Miles Morales: don't buy a PS5 for it. In fact, I would even suggest don't spend 60 euro on it. My brother bought the game on PS4. That's how I basically leached off of him. And like it's fine, but it definitely feels like more of the same. It doesn't feel like a significant step up from the last game, and like the combat is a step up. There is more cool stuff, and I do like Miles' character is super cool, and like the game just has a pleasant vibe to it. But like I was like done with it after credits. You know, I was not interested in going back at all. You know, it was kind of the same with the last game, but the last game, it felt like it had more of an arc, and like, yeah, I don't know. And just the whole, the Miles Morales, it feels like a budget thing, you know, it doesn't feel like the next big step for this series. And honestly, like, comparing to like something like Lost Legacy, I think Lost Legacy is way more impressive. Like they actually do something different with the scope and like with the mechanics that were already there in that game. Whereas this one, it really I don't want to repeat myself, right? But it feels like more of the same. I don't regret playing it, but like it was fine. Yeah. I think, see, my overwhelming, like, I made that next gen video earlier, right? Like a couple months ago, where, yeah, I'm still really excited about the tech, right? And we're already kind of seeing a payoff with like faster load times, but obviously load times is not the exciting thing about the SSD and like the CPU and all this shit, right? It's gonna get way crazier, right? Obviously the load times are neat for them to be this fast, but that's not where it's gonna stop, right? That's not really what the fucking big deal is gonna be. Like, it's just like, I mean, in DMC5, it's so nice that it loads so fast now. It was like legitimately such a pain how slow the loading was in the original. especially if you like want to go into Nico's shop and like customize devil bakers and shit. Ugh. That is like a massive fucking improvement. Like legitimately, there were times in the original where I just didn't want to go through the menus. I went into missions with no devil bakers because I just didn't want to fucking bother with the load times. So that's great that that's different, right? But generally, I said this on Twitter a couple times, right? But like the backwards compatibility as well, like just getting better performance out of your old games. That should not, like, I think it's not a great reason to jump into these consoles because like whatever kind of impressive feeling I had with with most of the games that I played on the PS5, right? Most older games, PS5 games, PS4 games, sorry. It was because of the TV more than the PS5, right? And like, I mean, that's the thing. There's like a select few instances where games really benefit from it, right? Like you can play Neo at 4K 60, you can play God of War at 1080 60. Is it 1080? I'm not sure, but you can play Days Gone and Ghost of Tsushima at 60. And like Days Gone is like a title where I was like vaguely interested in it. You know, the concept does kind of appeal to me. But then seeing it at 60 was like, oh, I actually do want to play this. You know, I actually do want to give it a shot. And like Final Fantasy 15 at 60 is such a revelation, right? There is select instances where it's really cool, right? But like that's what it is, right? It's select instances. There's just not so many games that can take advantage of the hardware. That's why I very quickly started to realize, yeah, I'm playing PS4 games on this thing, and like I'm glad that I replaced it. I like the controller way more. Load times are nice. I only had the base, right? So like, if I played Crash 4 on the base PS4, I wouldn't even get 60 FPS. Wonderful 101, right? Runs at 60 now. Didn't run at 60 on my base PS4. It would have run at 60 on the Pro, right? But I just didn't have the Pro. So from that perspective, for me, it was a logical upgrade. I think that's the thing. Had I had the I have a 1X, and like let's say I would have had a PS4 Pro as well, I probably would have just waited. You know, I probably would have not upgraded to either console. With the PS4, it just made a lot of sense to replace it now, but like, and like I'm excited to fucking play 15 again, like try Sekiro again, for example. Like Sekiro, I only played through it once and then, like didn't go back after crowds. And I'm kind of just interested in like how my opinion may change, if it's just that much smoother, you know? Dark Souls 3 is another one where I thought, yeah, I'm probably never gonna play Dark Souls 3 again, even with the DLC. No, this is 60 FPS. That's a big difference. Oh. I haven't even installed it. I should install it, man. Fuck, I didn't even... Oh, I totally forgot that. I should do that before I go to bed. That is a great fucking idea. I totally forgot that I owned the game already. With all the DLC as well. Damn. Fuck, I should do that. Yeah, I should do that right when I finish this. That, like... See, you can tell, right, from my reaction. That is exciting. Like, 60 FPS. Cool shit. And, like... Yeah, like, just playing Bayonetta on it, or Wonderful 101, it's so nice. It's so nice, but, still, that effect, I think, wears off after a while. And, like, the Xbox, you just have to consider, like, the Xbox, it doesn't do any of that stuff better, right, for Xbox One games. In fact, I really, like, with PS5 exclusives, when you think about it, there's just way more games benefiting from the extra hardware. And, like, I guess you can say you have 360 and Xbox original games on the Series X, and that's cool. But obviously they don't, like, those games don't benefit much at all compared to the One X, right? Like, there's only very few select instances where games, like, they get HDR added, right, which is cool, or GTA 4 actually runs at 60 now on the Series X. That's great. I don't want to discount that. But like, again, 360 and original Xbox games, they already run basically as good as they can on the One X. And then with Xbox One games, like I said, you get the same upgrade on the PS5. I will say, yeah, if you have mostly Xbox One games, it is, for me, I kind of had this experience a little bit where I owned a lot of games on the Xbox, and now I have to slowly rebuy them on the PS5, and that's pretty annoying. So I could see like a scenario where it makes sense to get the Series X over the PS5. I do think the PS5, they should add quick resume from the Xbox. I think that is an impressive feature, even though personally I'm not really interested in it. Maybe, I mean, I don't have it, right? Maybe I'm just not realizing how useful it would be, but like I'm just the kind of person, if I want to play a game, I just hunker down and play that one game, right? I don't really want to switch between games. I just want to have long sessions with single games. So for me, quick resume is like not that interesting, but like whatever, right? I guess I just also need to stress, right? To me, the 360 backwards compatibility and like especially the original Xbox backwards compatibility, it is cool, but like it's becoming so much less and less of a selling point over time. Because like if you want anything at all comprehensive with those libraries, you still need the original hardware, you know? And there's a fundamental flaw with the backwards compatibility in that I'm gonna link this as well. I'm not sure if it's improved on the Series X. I doubt it, because like the tech's the exact same, right? But basically with Ninja Gaiden 2, like with faster paced action games, is where you notice it, but like it's true for every backwards compatible game, that first off, like they add 1 frame of lag, but that's fine. Like 1 frame is not a big deal. That's like for emulation, that's to be expected. The problem is that inputs get dropped like crazy. One guy did a test with Ninja Gaiden 2 where they would dodge like 100 times in a row, and like 20 of those got dropped, right? 20 of those didn't even activate. And I definitely felt that when I was playing it. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and like I did the Metal Gear Rising stream a couple weeks ago. I ended up streaming it on the PS3 because the Xbox One backwards compatible version felt so unreliable to play. And I think it's the kind of thing, like, I think if you're not that savvy, you're not gonna notice it. And then you're gonna think it's not there, but it is there. It's definitely there. It's definitely like a factual thing, right? And that made me not really want to play those games anymore. Now, I should stress also, apparently, it's a lot better if you're using a 360 controller on the on the Xbox One or One X or Series X or whatever, using the Brook adapter. Apparently it's a lot more consistent that way. I need to try that. I need to get one of those. Because, like, I mean, playing Ninja Gaiden 2 with the extra performance, it is nice. It is very good. It's a huge improvement. But, like, I definitely felt, like, a noticeable problem with, like, the controls. So just for me, it's just, like I said, it's becoming less and less of a selling point. And, yeah. One thing I'll specifically say about the PS5, that's nice, that is really annoying me about the Xbox right now, is the way HDR is handled. Because when you have HDR turned on the PS5, they just apply it to everything. So for games that don't support HDR, they just tone map the HDR. They do just some shenanigans to, like, it doesn't really look like HDR, it just looks fine in HDR, right? It doesn't, like, usually if you have an SDR game and then you turn on HDR on your TV, it will look weird. The PS5 basically makes it so that it looks fine. It looks just the way it's supposed to. And that's really nice. It's like really just smart and very convenient that it just works that way. On the Xbox, if you have HDR turned on, it needs to, like, the console will switch HDR off for games that don't support it, and like the UI of the console also does not have HDR, right? Also, it's not 4K, and that's like, yeah. HDR is turned off for those games, which seems fine. The problem is that your TV is gonna need different settings for HDR and SDR. On my TV specifically, it changes the brightness automatically, so it needs max brightness for HDR. That's fine, and then lowers the brightness for when when it's back on SDR. That's great, but then I need to change the contrast a little bit to get ideal settings between HDR and SDR. So in the Xbox, if I have an HDR game, I turn up the contrast, and then it goes back to a different game that's like not HDR. I need to turn it down again manually, and it's really irritating. It's not like the biggest deal in the world, but like, I just wish Microsoft handled it the same way, you know? I guess I'll generally say about the UI. I already said some of my impressions earlier, but like, I do think just the whole look of it is so much fucking more pleasant than the PS4. I like that the icons are smaller. I like that there's like this nice sort of overlay black gradient thing that just makes it very easy on your eyes. I think they had to do that because, like, it's designed for HDR, so it's very bright, and so the brightness from your screen is very high, but like the overall brightness of the scene is actually low, and like it's very easy to parse. But like the UI is not as snappy as I thought. Like there's still a little bit of lag when you go between sort of icons and stuff, and there's no fucking folders. How the fuck? I don't want to overstate sort of the lag. I think it's still snappier than what I'm used to from like PlayStation. I'd put it about the same as like Xbox One X, like maybe a little bit faster, but it's like, it's not like as snappy as like the Switch, for example. Well, actually the Switch, it has input lag on the home menu, but like something, I don't know. It's not my method of judging this is not scientific, right? But on the Switch, just like the way the cursor sort of transitions, like something about it feels smoother than it actually is. I don't fucking know. I think generally the UI on the PS5 is very logically arranged. Everything. Yeah, I like that the store is integrated into the thing. I like the store is not a separate app. And generally, it's very seamless, right? I like that there's not any jarring transitions between screens anymore. I think, like, with UI, you get used to it over time, right? You learn where everything is. But, like, it does bother me that on the Xbox, for example, nothing fucking makes sense. Like, there's no really rhyme or reason, like, as to where things are, and, like, just what is an app, and, like, the layout of it is so fucking messy, and, like, cluttered. I just hate how much shit there is on the screen, right? I like on the PS5 that it's very easy to parse. Like, it's the first UI, like, since the PS3 probably, that I thought was, like, I look at it and it's like, it's like, it doesn't fucking assault my eyes immediately. I think that's very important. And I appreciate it for that. I think the quick menu thing that they're doing, you press the home button and then you get this, like, nice bar at the bottom. It's very elegant. I wish it was a little bit more customizable. Like, you have, on the home screen, you have settings and you have search. So the search is like a system-wide thing where you, like, can search for games and, like, media and shit. Also, oh yeah, I love the media and games are split up, right? Into different pages, so I can just ignore media. I just, like, don't care about it. Yeah, I wish I could press the home button and then have, like, the settings and the search thing just right there, right? Like, on that bar. You can customize the bar a little bit. You can, like, add and remove things. But like I just want those two specific things on there. The thing that you can customize as well is the cards. These weird ass activity cards that they made like a big deal about, and like there's like a lot of these think pieces now, like, oh, like I can just press on a card and like it will instantly take me to the side mission in Spider-Man. I think I'm very critical of this sense that we're really taking the magic out of the gaming experience, you know? It's just like I hate just this tacky sort of overlay over, what's the word I'm looking for, but like this there's a word for what I'm trying to say. I don't know, it's just this tacky thing on top of the actual thing, right? This thing on top of the thing, man. I mean, Spider-Man is a bad example because like the side missions in that game are boring anyway. But like, just imagine a Breath of the Wild or something where it just collects every side mission that you see as a card, and then you press the button, and then you're just instantly there and stuff, and like, just like, imagine how it demystifies the whole experience, you know? How it turns the whole experience into a checklist, and like, you're not organically experiencing the content anymore, you know? And like, that's the thing, if you're like one of those, like maybe achievement hunter types, and you just want to get through games as quickly as possible, I think that's the thing. I think that should, for that type of player, is a fucking godsend. It makes it so, like, I was like amazed how fast it is in Spider-Man to like just do shit, right, with that. But it feels very artificial, right? And I don't like that personally. It's not for me at all. But you can very easily ignore it, so whatever. I guess like there should be some kind of customization with cards though. Like I wish I could say, yeah, I only want cards that are like relevant for like multiplayer shit maybe. I haven't see all those multiplayer social features looked very impressive from the UI video that they did, and I already said that, right? But obviously I'm an antisocial goblin, so like for me it's I just have not had a chance to try it. Like I'm assuming when I'm playing a multiplayer game, they're probably pushing the relevant cards for that sort of to the front. But like, yeah, I think there should be some kind of customization, right? There should be just an option to say, yeah, I don't want cards that are just for trophies and shit, right? But like, I think the system in general, it is a benefit, right? Like, it is cool that I can open the thing and then maybe see, oh, like my friend, like I see a card that's like, oh, my friend already made a lobby or something, right? Maybe you have a game that's like inherently a little bit like checklistier, or like that's not really about the magic of the experience, right? In a DMC or something. Oh, let's say, yeah, maybe you have like you have like a game with daily challenges or something, or like, yeah, multiple different challenges, and then you see those as cards. That would be kind of cool. What I would like to see is maybe have cards that are just folders, right? Maybe that's how you do the folders, right? I can see why on the current home screen they did not have a good way to implement folders without like ruining the whole like clarity of the, sort of the thing, right? I get that. But maybe what they can do is just you press the home button, and then instead of cards, you know, it's cards, you see cards, but then every card is just a folder, right? And then you click on the card and then you see a nice list of games. Wouldn't that be the fucking wave? Wouldn't that be cool? I think that would be a good way to implement it. I need to pee really bad. I'm gonna be right back. I don't even know why I said I'll be right back, because you can't fucking hear the difference anyway. I guess the last big thing I should talk about is the controller. Obviously Sony, they made a big deal about it, and like, I think it's hard to make as big a deal about it as it is in a fucking global pandemic. Wait, I'm gonna... So I actually got two. I got one with my console, and then I got an extra. Yeah, I got the extra a couple days before I got the PS5. Well, yeah, I got it with the American launch, actually. Yeah, the American launch was a week early. And my first impression was like, wow, this is so much fucking better than the PS4 controller. And like, I made like my video, there's no good fucking controllers, right? I already did that on Patreon. You can listen to that. Where I explain all my woes with all the different pads, and like this one actually fixed all my fucking gripes. Like honestly. The material on the sticks is so much nicer. The tension is better. The options and share buttons feel like they're not as recessed anymore. They're a lot more easy to reach. The build quality in general feels better. The D-pad is not as like, the edges are not as hard, and it definitely like I'd say the feel is a little bit smoother. You know, it's not so like the PS4's pad was clicky, but like not really in a good way. This one, it feels softer, but like the movement is a little bit like more I don't fucking know. I'm an idiot. Oh yeah, the face, like I definitely liked the face buttons on the PS4 relatively. I think on the, like over the years I've just realized, man, I hate the face buttons on Xbox. Like the way they're sort of raised, you have to, like they have just so much travel between like press and actual actuation, right? And they like, when you let go of the button, they sort of hang in the recession a little bit, and it feels so gross, especially like with games like Bayonetta where you hold and let go of the button a lot. On the Xbox One controller, it feels so fucking weird. The PS4 buttons were very clicky. These ones are not as clicky, but the feel is very similar. And I actually like that. I think they struck the perfect middle ground here with the face buttons. And then for me, the big one was like I already mentioned, the overall build quality. Right, the controller is bigger, fits better in my hand. It doesn't feel as cheap as the DualShock 4. Big one for me though was the triggers. I mentioned this problem a couple times, that the sort of contours on the DualShock 4 triggers are so hard and so angular that they actually cut into my fingers when I play Bayonetta. The PS4 version of Bayonetta is actually my preferred way to play it. Like, it's, I think, the best version of the game, like by a pretty significant margin. Xbox One version is the same, but like obviously it has the problem with the face buttons, right? But I just couldn't play it because of the fucking triggers, right? And now that's completely fixed. And that's so pleasant. This is probably, like if we're talking modern controllers, honestly, I have almost no complaints. Like, obviously there's only 4 face buttons. That's lame, right? I mean, 6 face buttons. Sega Saturn wins. The one thing I'll say, yeah, I think the L1 and R1 buttons are a little bit springy. And maybe I need to, like, maybe it just needs more play, right? They have a little bit of the sensation that I talked about with the Xbox, right? Where you depress the button and then you raise it again. Like, it feels a little bit like something about it is a little bit weird, but like it's not bad. I do like that they're bigger. I still think PlayStation has the most comfortable bumper buttons. The D-pad is not amazing, right? But it's serviceable. I think it's fine. I do like the Xbox D-pad. I think is a good example for what I mean. Like, because subjectively, no, not subjectively. The word I'm looking for is on the surface, it feels very good. The Xbox D-pad, like, it's very clicky. It has a nice texture to it. Like, it's very tactile. But in practice, it's actually really hard to input precise movements with it. Like, especially in fighting games. For platformers, it's mostly fine, but like, yeah, I think this D-pad is just about a middle ground. I'm still not gonna play fighting games with this, like, for real, but like, I wouldn't mind playing a fighting game or two with this. So yeah, and like, see the sticks, I used to have on the DualShock 4, I used to have these attachments on the sticks to make them like grippier. I don't even feel the need to do that here because they're so much better. So this controller, I think just from a ergonomics, just general controller perspective, it's like almost flawless. Probably one of my favorite controllers I've ever used. I have no complaints. Like, that's the one aspect where they really knocked it out of the park. Have not tried the Series X controller. I think the D-pad on the Series X looks a lot better. But they probably didn't change the buttons that much, and like the buttons are like just the main thing that's like and I think the bumpers are not ideal on the Xbox, and I just think the shape of it is not as comfortable as the DualSense. Wait, where's my Xbox One controller? Yeah, it's over here. Like, this is not a bad controller. This is not a bad controller at all, but I don't know. Yeah, I can see why people prefer this. Like, yeah, I play a lot of Xbox, right? And like, for shooters, like, a lot of the problems I mentioned are like not that big of a deal. I do like, yeah, the triggers on the PS5, they have more tension to them. I do like that as well. But like, I guess the Xbox triggers, they feel that, like, the fact that they don't have so much tension makes them feel a little more reliable, I guess. Like, yeah, pros and cons. Obviously though, the real selling point is the haptics, right? See, when I first got the controller, I plugged it into my PC, and it was recognized as a speaker. And then when the sound was output through the vibration of the controller, right? It was not like, I mean, there was sound coming out of the speaker, but like, it also affected the haptics on the controller. So we know that the company that developed the haptics on the DualSense, they also did the HD Rumble on the Switch. And like, when the HD Rumble came out, there was like a lot of talk about, yeah, they're using sound, right? They're just mapping sound to the Rumble shit, right? Now I haven't played that many games on the Switch that actually use that shit, right? So, I can't really compare that exactly. Like, the most I didn't like, 1-2 Switch feels like the one game where they actually use it, you know? The most impressed that I was with the HD Rumble was like in Mighty Gunvolt Burst, where you can tell the direction of secrets based on the rumble, right? Like, and the way it rumbles feels really interesting. Like, I don't know, it was like almost like a splash of water. Like, you drop a ball in water. That's kind of what the rumble felt like in Gunvolt. And like, it was kind of directional, right? So if the secret was like more sort of up, the sensation was more, you know, toward the top of the controller, right? That's cool. I'm not sure if the tech in the DualSense is actually more sophisticated, or if they're just using better or whatever. What I will say is that having a speaker on the controller and then having sounds, you know, come out of the controller that are associated with the vibration, that alone makes a huge fucking difference. I think, honestly, a lot of the reason that people are so impressed with the rumble on the DualSense is not actually the rumble, it is the sound. It is like I'm gonna talk about the rumble a little bit, but like, just the sounds and the way the two are like synced up, the way the sound and the rumble are synced up, helps your brain bridge the gap, right? It just connects the two in such a logical way that it feels very accurate and very authentic. Uh, that's not to say though that the rumble isn't in itself impressive. I think you do miss a lot of shit without the speaker, right? But like the rumble actually has nuance to it. There's an Astro's Playroom. Oh yeah, that's the other next gen game I played. I finished that as well. You can like get on this elastic kind of rope and you jump on it, right? And then you land on it and then the rope kind of swings back and forth. And it's interesting because I specifically for that, for example, to like get an impression of it, I specifically turned the sound from the controller off to try it, right? To just see how nuanced the rumble actually is, because like that moment with the rope, I played with my sister, right? And we were both so like, what the fuck? This feels like so crazy. And honestly, when you play with just the rumble without the sound, you still feel it. Like it's like you feel a fall off, and you feel like the directionality of the rumble. Like the rumble sort of, it starts kind of in the center and then it spreads sort of. Wait, no, it's closer to like your hands, right? That's where the rumble starts, and then it like sort of goes more into the center, and like it gradually kind of falls off, and like it has this echo to it, you know. So it's pretty nuanced. It's yeah, and like it's not super strong. It is subtle, but you do feel it. And when it's combined with the sound, it's kind of incredible. Like it actually feels really fucking cool. And the same goes with the triggers, right? Like I played with my dad, right? And the first time he did it, he was like, you probably saw the Maximilian video of him first trying the DualSense with Astro's Playroom. My dad had a similar reaction. It was really funny. Where like you press a button, like, I mean, obviously he doesn't have the experience with controls, right? So he presses the trigger and he doesn't realize it's supposed to go way deeper, right? So he like presses it wrong for a while, and then it makes this click, and like this click is so fucking satisfying. Oh, like, and like it actually makes certain challenges in the game feel physically different to perform, right? There's this one where you're like in this monkey suit, and you tilt the controller to sort of tilt your body, and then you use L2 and R2 to like sort of extend your arms and then like grab with your fist, right? And like that sense, you get such good feedback that it actually makes the section more intuitive. I feel like it would make way less sense if without the adaptive triggers. The thing is, you can play it with that shit turned off, and I'm assuming, yeah, like you extend your arm by going a certain way with the trigger, and then going fully, you snap it, right? But like, it probably wouldn't feel right, you know? And like, I'm glad you can turn it off, right? But like, obviously, that's the thing. It's actually a really smart addition if you think about it, because like it enhances the gameplay, but it's not like there aren't really scenarios that I can think of where it would be strictly necessary, right? Maybe I'm an idiot, right? Like maybe I just haven't thought of like the crazy application for it, but like maybe there's like, oh yeah, I could like, yeah. Maybe you can have like a situation maybe where you need to pick a lock, right? And then maybe you have a series of gradual clicks, and then there's one click where it like vibrates, and that's the one where you need to stay on or something, or you need to press a different button. Obviously, well, even that you could like simulate it without the, like, you could just still have gradual, you like depress the trigger, and then at a certain point the controller just vibrates or something. Like you could still do that, or like you get visual feedback. There's really nothing that isn't technically possible. Sorry, accidentally paused there. There's nothing that's not technically possible without the haptic feedback, but it does add a lot. It does feel really cool. And it connects you to your character. And like, that's the thing, like Astro's Playroom, it's not like a mechanically super impressive game, but it does use the medium of games in a really cool way. I think it gives me like a similar sense to like when I played Mario Galaxy for the first time. Obviously, I mean the game as a whole, when I finished it, I was like, yeah, it's like a 7 out of 10. It's like light 7. Did sort of what it set out to do really well. Like I had a smile on my face the whole time. But like it's not like this fucking mechanically super fucking deep platformer, you know? But still, like that experience, it's gonna stick with me. Like I think it was really cool, and like just like how much my family loved it and how much they were into it, like that was worth it. That was super fucking worth it. And that makes me very excited for, like, that's the thing, like just the fact that it seems very easy to implement. So many third-party games are doing it now. Like with Call of Duty, they're doing a different sort of trigger profile for every fucking gun so that they feel unique. That is so cool. That actually makes me want to try Call of Duty, you know, even though I'm usually never interested in that series. I think, I mean, and like the implementation, it can be basic in some games. I think in Devil May Cry, it's like pretty basic. There's much in the way of like the triggers are used, but like not the whole controller kind of. But that's fine, you know. Like that's the thing. At its worst, they're just gonna use it in like really basic ways. But like even that like enhances games a little bit. And like, see, I think just the Xbox, it's just in such a weird place now, man. Like I don't want to rag on it, but like even the better specs are not resulting in better performance right now, you know? I want to eat a mouth drop because my throat is fucking killing me. Also, I'm really hungry. Fuck, dude. Yeah, like almost every multi-platform game right now is actually running better on the PS5. And I'm sure that's gonna change as they like iron out the kinks and get used to the dev tools and stuff. But man, it should not be like this. Should not be like this. So I also think like the rumors about Resident Evil 8 probably like running bad and stuff on the PS5 is probably bullshit. Because we already have an RE engine game, right? That's like running better on the PS5. What else can we talk about? So yeah, controller I'm very happy with. Oh yeah, console. The sound. I said earlier, yeah, the Xbox One X is quieter, and I think it is. But like, I mean, I gotta be honest, I haven't held my ear up to the Xbox One X to like really test it, because that's the thing with the PS5. I didn't notice it either. I was like, you know, thinking, oh, I should record this video, and then I realized, oh shit, I should hold my ears to the PS5 to see how loud it is, because like that shows you before I didn't fucking notice at all. There is a sound, but like it's subtle enough that you're not gonna fucking notice it when you're actually playing it. Now I say that as someone who thought the PS4 was like very loud. I hear the Pro was like even worse. So yeah, that makes me very happy. But the overall impression I get is that the One X is still a little quieter, and the Series X is probably even quieter still. So that's like the Series X. It seems like a really nicely designed piece of hardware. I don't want to knock it. It's just like, I feel like their whole marketing just got messed up as well. Like with Halo being delayed. Personally, like I'm probably gonna get one like when Halo comes out. I already said this on Twitter, but like had Halo come out on time, then I would have just played it on the One X. But now that it's delayed and I have like extra time to like save up for it, I'm like, okay, I'm probably just gonna get the Series X and like not even bother with playing on the fucking old ass One X. Now, one weird issue with the PS5 is that, and this seems to be consistent. This seems to be like a consistent thing. Is that whatever disc you have inside the console, it will spin up, like the drive will spin up sort of once an hour for like 10 seconds maybe. And people are speculating maybe there's like some kind of security check or something. I don't fucking know. I definitely noticed it while I was playing, like with Crash, for example. But like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe it's like a bug or something, and they're gonna address it. I don't fucking know. Yeah, like there should not be a reason for them to do that. Like, obviously the console will notice it if you just remove the disc, right? And the game is played from the hard drive completely. So like, I don't. Yeah, I mean it's probably a bug, but I don't know. There was like, people have been having problems with crashes and stuff, like just games crashing. There was like there was like these error numbers going around as well, and I can tell you, I had the same issue. Weirdly, not at first. When I first got the console, like the first couple days, it was completely fine, and then a couple of days later, with like some games, I would just get free, like with Bayonetta, I got frequent fucking crashes. And it was very odd. And there was not much of like there was just no indication for like what the reason might be. There was recently a patch, now it's completely fine. I have not had any crashes since. But I think, yeah, again, like this kind of shit, it's just to be expected, yeah. With fucking launch hardware. This is my first console that I bought at launch ever. And you know, that feeling is pretty cool. Like I said, like I'm like pretty happy with like this whole, with the way this whole thing went, and like my current setup, and like just how clean everything is. Yeah, I'm really excited for RE8. I'm really excited for Deathloop. Other than that, I think, yeah, I mean, Phil Spencer, I think he was one of the only people who actually was like super candid about it, that yeah, we're gonna start seeing all the delays in 2021. That's where it's gonna get really bad. And I think if you just look at the lineup for next gen over the next couple months, it looks pretty barren. But that's like not something I want to blame Sony and Microsoft for. Maybe I guess you can blame them for selling the console anyway when there's like no fucking games coming. But at the same time, there's games right now, you know, there's like a good number of games to play. Like if you factor in backwards compatibility, like I'm sure there's fucking games that you can play on it that are gonna benefit from it, yeah. Like personally, I'm excited to play 13 Sentinels finally. Maybe play Death Stranding this winter. I wanted to play Neo too, but I'm probably gonna wait for the patch after all, for the PS5 patch. Yeah, there's just a ton of games that I feel like with the extra performance, and then on top of that, the 4K TV, I'm just gonna enjoy so much more. It's a good time to be gaming. Yeah. Let me know how you guys feel. Like, are you guys planning to get like a PS5? Do you guys get a Series X instead? What about 4K TVs? How y'all standing with that? Anything else you want to know about? Just any facts? I didn't really talk about the actual games that much. I'm just gonna, like, at the very end, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. I'm considering doing like a mini review for DMC5 Special Edition, like an actual review on the channel. but don't tell anyone. The problem right now, and this is yeah, I'm probably, well, yeah, I don't know. See, the problem I'm having right now is like I can't record at 4K at all, and I can't even play at 4K when I'm recording. I need some kind of new capture card. That was the one thing where I didn't have foresight. I could have bought the same capture card that I have right now, but with 4K pass-through. Did not do that because I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah. So that's why recording footage right now is a pain in the ass because I can't play in 4K anymore. If I do that, and obviously that annoys me, right? I would like to just play in 4K. But yeah. I still need to put like footage for like the last Patreon thing, and then for this, and then the next one. We'll see. We'll figure everything out. The thing is, I say I want to do a mini review of the MC5, but like realistically, time is like, I don't fucking know. This is like, it has to be something that I can get done in like a day or two, you know? I don't want to spend more than that on it. I want to write it in a day and then edit it in like another day maybe. It has to be that kind of time because like I just don't fucking have the time for YouTube right now. Or like I should say it's just not worth it to that degree. Yeah. Anything else I forgot? I talked for fucking 2 hours. God damn. See, even this, I could have fucking played video games instead. The shit I do for you guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hope you're having a pleasant time. I'm starting to feel the Christmas vibes as well. Vaccine is gonna drop soon. Just hang in there. We're almost there. Not saying the pandemic is then officially over the moment there's a vaccine, but like, you get what I'm saying. Peace out.